Hey, how's it going?
It's good. Glad to be here on hardcover video number 6.
How's your last week been?
It's been pretty good. It's been quite cold in London, but it was okay. Inside feels good. How about you?
Pretty good. We had about 3 inches of snow last night, so it's always a lot of fun to just wake up and see like all the mountains covered in snow. Like as soon as that time of the year ends, I always kind of miss it a little bit, even if it does mean I'm able to actually go outside to the mountains and not worry about slipping every time.
That sounds very cool. I mean, I wish there was more snow here, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah, we we I think we're like going out to walk around a dog park, which is like one of the few areas that like I feel pretty safe walking around with my knee. And there's a dog park here, which uh, they have to like they send an alert. People have to have their dogs on leash there now because a whole herd of elk moved into the dog park.
what? Okay, so it's an elk
It,
park now.
yeah, it's an elk park. It's like it's
Wow.
kind of in a ravine right next to the interstate. So it's like down in a valley. And so
Okay.
there's like trees and like foliage, and that whole area was like the dog park with like fences along the sides on the top of the ravine. So it was always a fun place to bring dogs, but now yeah, like a dozen or so elk have moved in.
Wow, that sounds pretty amazing, and yeah, a bit. I'm guessing you'd have to like mind the elk now. Are they like?
Yeah,
Do they get angry?
I think they try to stay as far away from the dogs as possible.
Okay, okay. Any theories as to what brought them there, or is there like elk treats someone left around, or just like randomness?
Yeah, probably just like the mountains at this time of year are just like covered in snow. There's no real foliage. At we're getting towards the end of winter. The foliage is kind of winding down that they've been eating through all winter. So they were probably just trying to find new green stuff to eat.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, elk invasion in the dog park sounds like a really interesting event happening. Yeah, I'd love to see the elk. Send me some pics of the elk. I mean, if you can get like close enough.
Yeah, if we spot some from a safe distance, I'll make sure to take some pictures.
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, yeah, I haven't had any elk stories, so no elks for me, I guess.
uh, uh, well, aside from that, what have you been up to on hardcover last week?
Well, I was thinking we could go through some hardcover news because we've been having some really cool updates lately. Um, for my end, I've been building our UI library, which will help with the future improvements for the site that we're planning. And I'm hoping that would be like a really good asset to have once we get the apps out there, because the iOS app is out there. I don't know if we had actually we said that or did we
I
in
think we said
the
that
last.
last week. Yeah,
Okay, okay. So 1 week, uh, the iOS app has been in the App Store for 1 week, and we're getting the Android app ready, which will happen in the coming weeks. So I'm guessing working around that was really interesting. And we've also got a very cool development that, of course, you made happen, uh, and the followers on our Discord saw it for in the realm of having book recommendations made by AI, which is something we're testing now. and it's showing so far really interesting results, I think. um, I've been trying it, and I'm curious to see if other people tried it as well, because I think it works pretty neat for cases when you want to have book recommendations, in a certain area that's tougher to research, I guess. For me, it's been rendering some really cool results. I don't know. How about you?
Yeah. So yeah, the experience we're talking about is the Ask Jules experience on hardcover, which is effectively using the OpenAI Chat API that they released last week on March 1st. And even before that experience was released, Stay had already done some mock-ups in Figma on like what an AI bot would look like, with like how that experience might work. And then like a week after he made those prototypes, OpenAI released this chatbot API. I'm like, well, this timing's too good. And so on last Thursday, I just like spent 4 hours and threw together a prototype of it. Um, and I'll share my screen as we talk about this.
Yeah, let's go through it. Do some actual live testing. Here we go. Ask
Yeah,
Jules live.
yeah. So yeah, behind the scenes, effectively what we're doing is like at this point, like nothing has hit ChatGPT. We're just like, this is all hard coded at this point. But then as soon as you send any question, any uh, it could be a question, it could be like, here's some of my tastes, whatever you want to say at this point. It's sending it to Chat GPT API, and it's including some scripts on the back end along with it to let ChatGPT know like who Jules is, what the personality that it should be answering in is. And I think like that, even that like couple sentences of description kind of gives it a little more personality than just like a flat personality answering questions. Yeah, like my wife and I were just having a conversation about like like what are some good science fiction books that featured like really good romances. So I was actually kind of curious to ask that in here.
Here we go. Let's see.
Mm, Hose, The Time Machine, Dune. Yeah. So I feel like some of these are the ones that we were talking about. Like we were talking about Time Traveler's Wife. That's the one I'm currently reading, as you can see.
Nice.
um,
Okay.
but I feel like there's a lot of work that can be done here, because I don't know if I consider Hunger Games to be like a great romance. I feel like it's like a light romance, but I feel like there's a world of difference between like a an Outlander or like a Time Traveler's Wife romance and like I guess it'd be like a coming of age romance. I guess that would be the difference. A coming of age romance versus
Okay. Yeah. Yeah,
like
that's
a
a good distinction
relationship later in
because
life.
yeah. Yeah, that's really good. I mean, I there's plenty of romance in the Hunger Games, but it is a coming of age romance more than anything else, I guess.
Yeah. What if I say ones that aren't coming of age romances?
Yeah, let's see. It's all in the question with this. I mean, I asked for some lesser known books, and it's given me some. Here we go.
I keep seeing this one recommended. Maybe I should
Well, The Long Way
bring
to
that
a
one up.
Small Angry Planet. Okay, seems like it has some potential romance in there just by the title.
Yeah. And I still haven't read this Ursula Le Guin book. Like it keeps
Yeah,
coming up
yeah.
in the
It's been
host.
quite popular, Ursula, on hardcover. I've seen some of her books in the feed, uh, which is like
Yeah.
really interesting. Uh, Yeah, it's the results, I guess, are debatable. I asked for some lesser known books from lesser known authors, and it gave me some books which, of course, to some like really hardcore readers, or let's not say hardcore, but people reading in a genre, might seem, oh, okay, this has I've seen this all over the place. But for instance, for someone who was outside the certain genre or wasn't like into that niche specifically, uh, I think it could have been valid. So I guess it comes down to how it interprets, things like less known or romance for that matter. I'm guessing it would give the popular books first. So I'm wondering what a prompt for bringing up books which are more obscure would sound like.
Hmm.
Maybe actually
Yeah.
like writing more. I don't know if obscure is a good word. What's wonderful about this is that you can put like really anything in this. I've tried like really complex prompts like uh, mm, nonfiction books written by women authors who uh, that involve nature or any kind of term, and it's given me some really like, I mean, I couldn't have found those results anywhere else because it's not something that would be written in a blog post. So that was pretty nice. What about these? I mean, you tell me, Adam. You're uh, apparently some of these books are
Okay.
already in your want to read list.
Yeah. I think like The City We Became is one that I've wanted to add to my want to read because it's by N.K.
Oh yeah.
Jemisin. But yeah, these and this one, Space Between Worlds, I've definitely heard about. Um, so yeah, maybe I'll this one I don't think I've heard about. It's just an ancient
Wow.
society of witches and a hipster technological startup go to war as the world is tearing itself apart. Okay, yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
sounds really fun. Look at that. Wow, okay. That's
yeah,
actually pretty badass.
yeah. This one seems more war and soldier, so I might skip that one. But yeah, this the way that this ends up working behind the scenes is that we have a rule that tells ChatGPT to return the book, but then also return the ISBN in a format like ISBN colon and then like the full ISBN. And what we do is like we remove that so that it doesn't show up here, and then we make another request to the hardcover servers to get the books matching those ISBNs, and then the current users like a status for that book in the second request. So at this point, like ChatGPT doesn't know anything about the user's preferences or what books they've read or haven't read. But we were talking about it some this weekend, and that would be kind of one of the logical next steps is like loading it with the books that you already enjoy as you're browsing this, and having that context so it doesn't recommend things that you've already read, or it uses what you've read to recommend things that it knows you'll like.
Yeah, this in conjunction with the match score that we already have, I think is going to be like a really powerful tool to discover new books. And for this kind of guided discovery where you just mention words or moods or vibes or keywords or uh, anything really, uh, so far has been proving like really powerful. So yeah, it's really interesting how it would mix in when we will actually be able to send each one's preferences. So this would basically mean that your reading preferences would actually matter in how those results would be generated in real time, right?
Yeah,
That sounds
Yeah,
pretty good. I mean, on the premise of finding books that you might like, I think this really it delivers even in this state. But I'm really like looking forward to how it can deliver when it actually has those reading preferences, because like that's the holy grail, having someone who knows all about what you like to read and knows all about all the books ever written, that is actually able to recommend something that is outside, the usual loop of books that you see in every feed, you see on every network, and you see everywhere else. So that's kind of exciting, and we have lots of ideas from all of our team on how we can deliver updates to this. So that's a pretty interesting space to explore, I guess. And it's been amazing that you put it together so fast. It's
it's it's basically one React component and one API endpoint on our server, and that's it.
Yeah, it's
Everything
amazing. I
else,
mean,
like,
it's
yeah, everything else was using our existing GraphQL API. Didn't have to make any changes to the backend. Just, you know,
Yeah, see the benefits of good architecture. They're
that was
finally paying off, I guess.
one of the things that I'm like, I want to figure out how we can do more of, and how we can even leverage the community to do more of. It's like
Hmm.
this like labs experience. One of the things I was considering was like, what if we make labs like a subdomain as like an open source project that anyone can do PRs against, and it's like its own little playground for hardcover API concepts, and then
Yeah, that sounds.
like the
Yeah,
yeah, because ideally I'd love to just make the entire front end open source, but I think we're still a little ways away from that.
yeah. I'm guessing for that we need more documentation, right? And for it to be more
Yeah,
robust. But this labs thing sounds great because we've already had some people in the Discord that who are working on improvements to the way we do imports, for instance, that start dates, end date conundrum we've hit, and it would be like really
yeah,
interesting because I guess one of the long term plans is to have it as an open source project, but that just requires us bringing it to a level where it's robust enough so that it wouldn't be at risk to actually head in directions that we wouldn't want it to, but that goal is there, which is this could work up to it really well, I'm guessing. So I really like that idea, having this playground for people who want to contribute, because I mean clearly there are people
yeah,
who want to contribute, and it would be like interesting to see how that
yeah, and
how that happens.
and it could even be like, one of the other benefits of it is it ends up being example uses of the API that people could use on their own in their own projects. Um, so it's like an open source example library of usage. So like someone could create their own like blog widget, for instance, and that could be in Hardcover Labs, and then someone could just copy that and use it on their blog or things like that.
Yeah, that would
So
be like
some of
really
them,
really interesting. Uh-huh. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
I
I mean, if we can set that up, that would be really great. And I think we'll make some of the users on Discord happy. We have some really good developers who I think would be eager to have a try at this. Um, it's also opening up some really nice opportunities regarding book data. Uh, Adam and I have been talking about how Letterboxd handles the descriptions for films, and it's really neat how they for each film have a really short, I think, one sentence description, then a slightly longer description that captures the essence of the film, which of course for films is way easier because you don't get as many uh, films, movies in general, as you do books. Books, I think, I don't know, they may be like 10 or maybe even 100 to 1 outnumbering movies, which also tells you a bit about our mission to like build a platform for books. But coming back to that, I think we can extract like a lot of interesting data for the books using this, and using
Yeah,
the ChatGPT API. I've done some tries. I've actually asked it to make me a prompt that would generate that kind of description, and it's been working out really well. Uh, the prompt that worked really well was, "Can you impress me with a brief and creative summary of book title that will make me want to read it, shorter than 90 characters?" So that actually gives you one sentence description for each book, and it does it really well.
interesting.
I tried it on the Metamorphosis. I tried it on like some of the books I've read, and it's pretty accurate. If you ask it to give you options, you can also like choose among the options, and the options are really good. Some of them are like describing in 90 characters, which is about well, I guess 6, 7, 8, 9, about 10 words. In 10 words, it sums up the book really nicely, and it tries to actually persuade you to read it without offering any spoilers. And then you could do that for even longer description. So you could ask for that one sentence book description, so you can like see what the book is about at a glance, and then you can ask it for a 400 character description. So that's you know about
Hmm.
2 tweets long, and
Yeah,
it tells you all you want about the book. That's pretty amazing.
yeah, and yeah, that would be amazing to like store those in our database and then just show those for every book. And it feels like that's like the start of it. Like having those would be an improvement on the descriptions that we have today, since so many of them start with like New York Times, a winning series from author who has done this book, and this book, and something else, all in capital letters, and then it starts the description of the book. Like
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, yeah, we don't. Most people don't need that. Like that's what you need on like the back cover of a book when you're reviewing it for the first time and you don't know anything about the context. But I feel like the readers that are looking at a book page on hardcover, like if they want to look at the author, they're going to look at the author. What they're interested in is the book content. And so it feels like this is getting much more improved book content for the description than what we currently have for sure.
Yeah,
And
and I love that
one,
it's also like, yeah, it's
oh,
also
go ahead.
normalized, so it's like the same length, and it gives you that predictability, and this you can find like on any book platform, because uh, what's crazy about book data is it all comes from the same sources. I mean, it's either Google Books or Open Library, which is kind of a mess. I mean, it's a great library, but uh, the descriptions from there are really, really messy. Or from, I mean, the Goodreads API has been discontinued, so there's not even that, which is crazy to think that, the data about the books is, I mean, basically, I guess it's mostly Google. Would that be right?
There's one other source, which is the paid ISBN service, and
Hmm.
that's what a lot of uh, a lot of services are paying for that book data. And the other one is oh man, I'm forgetting the name of it, but uh, another book tracking website that is massive, but now Amazon owns part of it also.
Oh wow. Okay, so
Oh,
Amazon is
library thing.
oh, library thing. They got a stake in that. I didn't even know. Oh, those
Yeah,
tentacles.
yeah. They bought like I don't know if it's all of it or just part of it, like 10 plus years ago.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
But
That's
library thing actually sells their reviews to e-commerce sites. So sometimes when you're looking at Walmart and there are reviews, those reviews weren't done by Walmart patrons who bought the book. They're reviews from Library Thing that they're showing
okay.
on Walmart.com.
Wow. That's really shady.
I mean, it's in their TOS, but it's a,
Yeah, but
I mean,
still, I
it's
mean,
a,
I wouldn't want my review to like be poached by Walmart to sell more books. I can tell you
it's
that.
true. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's pretty crazy how it. I mean, even this. I mean, considering books, I mean, it's a huge thing, and it's like what 5, 6 actors who own the data, and it's being gated by huge sums of money. So if to get it from ISBN, you'd have to. I'm wondering if like getting data via ChatGPT for most of the popular, really popular, let's say 100,000 books would actually be cheaper to run than actually getting it via the ISBN service.
Oh, for 100%. Like the ISBN service is like multiple thousand per month after the first year,
Per
and
month.
that and like the Chat GPT API is like a penny per like thousand hits. So like we could like once we had our algorithm and our query correct, our prompt that we were asking Chat GPT correct, we could potentially fill all of our data for like a buck.
Wow.
So
That
it's
that
gonna
would be
yeah,
okay.
but
I mean, I'm seeing why we should do this.
yeah, exactly.
Even if it's like for a mission to like get better book data for books that's like not gated. I'm guessing just have something mine book data for let's say the most popular books on hardcover because we know what those are in the background. Nailing that would be like really really great, especially because we can generate like really cool snippets. I don't think a uh this one sentence description for the most popular like 100K books of all time is something you can get from anywhere, so it would
Yeah,
actually be nice to have it. I
yeah,
really like
and
that about Letterbox.
yeah, yeah. I'm a fan of it too.
Yeah.
I I think one other like potential future idea for it is that like this description, like when you were prompting it, it's a it's a generic description of the book that's going to apply to everyone, but maybe the description could be different if the person looking at it is a big fan of romance books or they're a big fan
Oh,
of sci-fi books. So it's like write a description of this book for someone who really loves this book, and this book, and loves this genre, and this genre.
wow, that'd
And
be
then that's
like
going to
so
change what the
next
description
level.
talks about.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
I,
That's like that's freaking I mean, uh it's crazy that that's achievable, right? I mean, that's actually like one prompt
yeah.
away and yeah, it would be really nice. I'm actually wondering if we can ask for suggestions on how to write that algorithm from ChatGPT itself. Uh I
Probably.
mean, yeah, that would be like really meta thing to for it to do. But I mean, it does write its own prompts apparently. So uh, I mean, of course, the thing knows itself and the way it works better than we do. So yeah, I'm actually I've
Yeah.
at some point I've wondered if they actually wrote the documentation for the whole API using ChatGPT because I think that would be like totally doable, and maybe that's one of the reasons why it's so easy to implement. Uh, Plus, they have access to the newer models, so I mean they could.
My guess is that was written by a human, but I could be
Okay.
wrong. I mean, I could be
I
wrong.
think I'm
I
close to like Yeah, we could bet on
Yeah,
that, but yeah, maybe it was written by a human. Let's see. But
but
it's
that's not
so
to
easy.
say,
Yeah,
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if some of the documentation was written by it.
yeah.
Just to, yeah,
I think
yeah,
in any way we're pretty close to the moment when the model could actually like write its own documentation and improve it. Uh, I've seen that it actually can self-correct when you asked it for code problems. Well, that wasn't ChatGPT. That was another one. I think it was Claude or something. No, it wasn't Claude. Anyways, it can self-correct before presenting you the result. So before this, you'd actually get the result, you'd get the error, you'd tell it that it's through an error, and you'd get the correct result back. But now it actually anticipates that error as well. But I don't think it
mm,
was Chat GPT. It was another thing. But yeah, that's. I mean, it would be interesting to see if we can get at least some suggestions on how to write the algorithm for whatever database we have.
yeah, and bringing this back to book data, one of the things that I'm hoping we can do in the next month that I'm going to start like sketching out is like our the next phase of our like book data setup. So like right now the way our book data works at a high level is we we have a book and a book has many editions. These are editions in different languages, audiobooks, physical book, ebook. That way, if you're reading Ender's Game, there's one book that represents Ender's Game, and there are many, many editions that contain information about the book. And behind the scenes, we're hitting different APIs and storing information about each edition. And then we're figuring out which edition is the best edition, and then using that data on the book itself, on the book page. So we might have 50 different descriptions about a book from 50 different editions, and then we're figuring out which one to use on the book. And I think that's 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 a good start, but I feel like having that chat GPT description would be a better description for one. But also one of our problems is that as we have all these editions, we sometimes don't know what the best edition is. Like we have like the our internal algorithm does like a score for how good an edition is based on how much data we have. So like if we have a cover that's worth so many points, if we have a title that's worth so many points, well, we always have a title. If we if we have a release date, if we have a format, all these pieces of data let us know that this edition has more data, and then the better the edition is, then the more likely we are to use that as the canonical edition for that book. But going this route, we wouldn't have to worry about scoring editions anymore. We'd just be able to like ask ChatGPT for the best one, but we would still have to most likely associate what like we're going to be asking ChatGPT about a book. That means asking it about an edition because the edition is what has the ISBN. So we're still going to say like this edition is the best edition, or maybe we ask like we have a book. We ask ChatGPT what is the best audiobook, what is the best ebook, what is the best hardcover book, what is the best mass market paperback, and it tells us the ISBNs for those. And then in our database, we mark those in our as like this is the best audiobook, and that's the one that people will automatically use if they select that they've read it in audio format. So I think like that step is going to improve our data a lot because then we'll know what the best edition is because of Chat GPT. So that's one thing that I'm
Yeah,
excited about.
yeah, that sounds great. And obviously, I think the way we're thinking about editions and we're approaching editions is the most complete and, I mean, the most comprehensive way I've encountered. I know other book apps can let you choose edition, but let me just share my screen to show people what we're actually working on. Uh, just a sec. Okay. So we actually have the book tracking over here, and basically each edition would be associated with each date read. So each read of a book would have a specific edition associated with it. So when you would change a book, you wouldn't do like you normally do on other book apps, where you would change the edition for the whole, let's say, instance of that book for you on the network. You'd actually like say which one you actually read or listened to or read as an ebook, which I think is more reflective of the way reading is done, because you are reading uh, certain certain edition, uh, and there is an edition which is the most popular, but it might not be your edition. It could be we're selecting the most popular or the best, let's say, edition as a default here when you actually read it, but you can also change that. There's lots of people who read the books in foreign languages, translated books, or books that are a certain edition that's rare or more special, and this lets you actually mark that edition in your read. So yeah, small preview of what we're actually doing now for the read and the book tracking dialogue. So yeah, that's pretty exciting how it will pan out.
Yeah, I yeah, I'm excited about using OpenAI for that now, especially now that we've tried it out on Ask Jules and kind of have realized how easy it is. I think I think one of the differences is that for this kind of book data step, we're going to be using a different API from OpenAI. The one we're using right now is the Chat API, and the Chat API has like a series of messages back and forth where you're saying the system says this, and then you have an idea of an assistant. So
Mhm.
our assistant is saying like return books with the ISBN. Like that's not something the reader ever sees. And then you have the reader's messages. So it's like a conversation, while this API would be using just the regular prompt API where we're saying, give us back this data. Here's a big JSON file of what we want the format to look like. Just give me back all the data in this format. And if we can do
Yeah.
that, that'll be amazing, because it'll basically be using it as an API, just like we're using Open Library or just like we're using Google Books, except it's an API that's being dynamically created by what we ask it for.
Yeah, that's gonna be crazy. I'd actually like really see if we ask it for like that exact same thing you said, Adam. Just put it in a prompt and see what it outputs, because it might offer some tips. And yeah, it's crazy to. I mean, for all sorts of tasks, ranging from creative ones to programming ones. I think it's a real good accelerator. So, not a replacement, but an accelerator. Uh, when you're stuck, when you're like, yeah, that's really good. And I've been trying to use it. I've been trying to actually see how it can be used for designs as well. So far I've been getting like feature explanations for it. So I've been asking if I have an app called Hardcover, which does book tracking, what are the things that are most likely to be good features for it, or something along those lines. And it's cool because it actually gives me most of the features we're building. So props to us, because I mean, apparently we've been as good as the Hive Mind so far, or some things which are on our roadmap. So it's giving me like social features, a really good book tracking experience, setting goals. So these are things that were actually generated, and it's good because knowing having access to all human knowledge is probably like in a position to give you like an exhaustive list of all the things that people are looking for. So yeah, for design, definitely usable in that regard. I'm wondering what if and how it would match with the ideas we've generated for recommendations and suggesting books in general to people. But yeah, it's interesting. It's a really good accelerator for work so far.
And there, I feel like with the book data, we're going to hit a lot of points where we're like, we need to make decisions about like book data. Like for instance, I was going through and cleaning up um, the Brennan Sanderson, the author, his author page for like all the books that have been added under him. And there are a lot of books that have been added that were in foreign languages. And our algorithm on the back end didn't pick those up as being an addition of an existing book. So it created a new book with the foreign language title while we also have the English title. But we want
Yeah,
those to all be the same book, but we just want them to be an international version under the book that we will have its own page and we'll have its own translated info later. But we don't want it to have, we don't want it to say like Brendan Sanderson has 10,000 books. We want it
yeah,
to say he has exactly the unique amount of books that he's written across all languages in one language.
yeah.
So one of the like the ways that we can handle something like that, I was playing with using Chat GPT. I was going through it, and as I was going through it, I was like copying a title, like and asking it like this book by like uh, this foreign language title by Brendan Sanderson. What is the English title of this book? And for the most part, it was able to come back and find out what the title was. Even though if I searched for it on Google or if I searched for it on Goodreads, it wasn't giving me the title,
Oh
which
wow.
is crazy to
Okay.
think it was better than Google or Goodreads at
Wow. Okay.
determining
That
what book
yeah.
it was.
That's actually major. I mean, yeah. I wasn't expecting the second part. Yeah, that's actually pretty cool. Especially because you can actually do that on an algorithm basis. So you can tell it that for any book title, and maybe we can use it for those associations. I've noticed that as well. We have some extra books in foreign languages, which would be great to, associate under an edition. Uh, so yeah, for book data, definitely, I'm wondering how this will play out. It's definitely exciting to see it to see it in action.
Yeah, I'm trying one out now. So like this is this is what I just uh, did. So yeah, like I was going through and so like I asked it like this is the title that we have on hardcover for this book
Oh,
and
here we go.
this is what it says. And
Yeah.
I could say like I could probably say like what is the ISBN of the English version? And
Here
I
we
have a
go.
feeling okay, so if I
Ah,
take
here
this
we go.
and if I let me share this window instead. So that was that one. So if I go to Firefight and go to editions, and it's the first edition. So yeah, like
Oh, here
it
we go.
it matched it to the edition that we already have in our database,
Yeah, that's
which
crazy.
is
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
it's gonna be great. I actually asked it for one of the other important book data items that we could improve, which is book covers and author images.
Mm.
And this one isn't connected to the internet, of course, so we couldn't search for URL of the picture of the author or the picture of the cover. But I'm guessing some of the other APIs that are connected to the internet, I'm thinking for the other models, those could search. So I'm gonna try it on their other site to see if we can actually get you better URLs for those, because it would save us a lot of time. And yeah, basically it would let us, I guess, update the covers dynamically. I know someone's been asking in the Discord if there will be a time when users can suggest edits for the book covers or upload their book covers as well. So I'm hoping to do something for us to be able to do something even better, which is actually like get better book covers from like all over the internet, because they're bound to be somewhere. So
That
yeah, that's
that
also
does bring up
interesting.
that does bring up a good point though about like all this data that we get from open OpenAI. I would still consider it to be like unverified data. Like no user has looked over it and said like this is correct. So
Yes.
the more specific data we ask for, the more of concern that's going to be. So for instance, if
Hmm.
we're asking it for like what is the gender of author name, and we're adding that to our database, I think we would really need to make sure we also allow the ability for users to go in and mark that as wrong, let us know what the
Yes.
actual data says, because otherwise, yeah, we can't rely on that data being accurate when it's based on the internet's opinion.
Yeah, that's
So
a
yeah,
really,
I
really
I
good
think
point. Yeah, that's
I think
that's like
that'll
an
be like a
excellent.
big step.
Yeah, I'm guessing over here, what's good is that, for key things like descriptions and more sensitive data, which, would take like a lot, like maybe an army of people like working tirelessly to generate descriptions for 100,000, 200,000 books. It would do like a really good job. I think in our case, the job of actual librarians would actually be flagging stuff which is wrong. So that would be like way easier than actually generating or uploading covers, or actually, doing editing that data themselves. So I think for every item in the book data on the book page, uh, there should be a way of. I mean, we have flagging now, so I'm thinking of a way that in design we can let people mark the things that are inaccurate, and that would definitely be way easier for us to uh, correct rather than generate, because I think in most cases it would be accurate, but of course there would be those cases in which it won't be, because it's still making stuff up. It's getting improved. I mean, this thing was released in November, so from then basically many of the things wrong with it were fixed, because basically you prompt it to not say those things. So patching it up actually works really well, but it's still making things up. Um, so for that data that it does make up, because usually when it doesn't know something, unless you tell it to not make things up, if it doesn't know something, it makes things up.
Yeah,
Sometimes, I mean, lately it's been saying, I don't know, or I don't have access to that information. Uh, but yeah, it can make things up. So for those cases, I'm guessing flagging flagging any piece of info, but on a separate page, so you wouldn't have a little flag next to everything, would be an option.
I uh, I asked it, how confident are you in this on a scale of 0 to 100%? It's like, as an AI language model, I am highly confident that the ISBN of the English version of Firefly by Brendan Sanderson is blah, blah, blah. My confidence level is 100% as this information has been obtained from reputable sources and is widely available. So I I'm really curious on like if we'll be able to trust like the confidence
Yeah.
level, like if we make that a variable, like if we ask for an
Mm,
author's
yeah.
gender and we say like how confident are you that this author's gender is X, like will that data be will that help us, or is that just going to muddy the water even more? I think
No,
either way.
it might actually help us because if you put in a prompt that actually like pushes it to tell you if it thinks it's wrong, it's actually like gonna give you an accurate answer, or it gave me an accurate answer as far as I could tell. But yeah, that's actually like a good idea. I'm wondering if for sources where I'm wondering if for anything it could say like I'm 80% confident or I'm 20% confident. I'm
I asked it
guessing
about
not. Yeah.
I asked it about someone's sexuality and how confident they were, and it said they were 100%, but they said it is important to note that people's identities are personal and can be complex. So it is possible that she may not identify with a specific label or may use different labels to describe her sexuality at different times. So
Okay, that's actually a
very
good disclaimer that we can put
caveat.
next to like an author's gender because I mean that's the case many times. I mean that could actually be a good disclaimer for us as well.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's
I'm gonna be doing some mock-ups in Figma for some sketches on some how I see like some of the workflow of some of this working. Like very low fidelity. Just here's here's kind of how I see the interaction working from a user standpoint, with the idea that we're getting a lot of this data from OpenAI and external sources, loading it into our system, and then giving people the ability to tweak it, report errors on it, edit it, and I think I'd like to even lean away from reporting and more make it just anyone can just edit the data, and instead we give like a system for um, like rolling back errors if we have bad actors, and automatically proactively banning people who are um, maybe making inaccurate edits.
that'd
So
be cool.
I
Are
feel
you
like
thinking to
that's
open this up?
yeah.
Yeah. Do you think this should be open to librarians solely or to like any reader on hardcover? Would you have to have a status for?
I think it would be open to everyone.
Okay, that's gonna be an interesting experiment. I mean, if we have like a backup, yeah, I don't see why not. Everybody could be a librarian. I actually on this topic wanted to ask you because I found I was looking into libraries and I found some really interesting people on TikTok who either have book blogs or uh, take this role of being book curators. So, for instance, I found a really nice blog which I'm encouraging everyone to visit. It's called Solo Books. It's XOLO Books. And it's an online bookstore for intersectional and anti-colonialist books. And I was thinking having someone like that use hardcover, how it would benefit them, and if it's useful to have uh, certain, let's say, user flair for librarians or for bookstore owners that
Mm,
can benefit them in some ways. I was even thinking of how it can tie into because all of the books on this particular store are books I haven't like really, I think they'd be really good to showcase on hardcover. So if someone had that account and let's say those books would appear in the feed, I'm sure they would find more readers. And I was actually planning to do like a library run around like small bookshops in London to see and actually like talk to librarians if they're like the owners are around or if the cashier can tell me anything, um, to see how it could benefit them. The main use case I thought could be useful is making book lists of the books they have in their inventory. For instance, the bookstore for solo books, I think is I have to check. I think it's through Waterstones or no, it's not Waterstones. It's bookshop.org. I'll have to check. Don't take my word on that. But anyway, uh, I think just book discovery, not necessarily like the way books are sold, could be like a good niche for us. And I'm wondering for those books which might not have good book data, uh, this would basically allow those people to edit the book data themselves, right?
Hmm.
If
Yeah,
we do this,
and yeah, they would be able to edit it just like anyone else.
okay, that sounds that sounds promising. I'm
I want
wondering
to.
what sort of trouble we'll get into. I mean, right
Yeah.
now we don't have like spam content, so the readers have to go through onboarding, and I don't know actually if any bots can actually go through onboarding without us knowing. Um, do we have a system in place to
Yeah.
verify, like, if they're real people, like who do that?
Uh, we do require that they confirm their email address. Um, so at least like they'll be able to use an account for I think 48 hours, and then after that they have to confirm their email address to use it. But beyond
Okay.
that, not really. So yeah, I think if we did allow anyone that's logged in to edit a book, we would probably want to add. We would want to do it with a lot of smart limitations to prevent someone from just like using the API to just destroy our entire site. Like
Yeah, true. Yeah.
limit the number of edits you're allowed to do per hour.
Yeah,
Maybe don't
that
allow don't
definitely.
allow someone don't allow someone to edit unless they have like X number of books in the library. Just like a basic setup, or maybe like
Hmm.
you have to have had an account for a week, or maybe like your the amount you're able to edit increases over time. So like the first week you do an edit, you're only allowed to do 5 edits a day, and then after you've done that, you're
Yeah,
allowed to do 10 edits. Just like increase it over
yeah,
time.
yeah. We can also allow supporters to do as many edits as possible
Yeah,
because those readers are verified. So, and
exactly, exactly.
it would be
And
like a good incentive for whoever wants to edit books that they're feeling strong towards.
yeah, and when you were talking about like the flair for librarians, or if we had flair for authors or bloggers, it made me think kind of about like a Rotten Tomatoes has like their audience score and their like critic score. Like we could
Mm.
very easily do something like that where we have like, here's the librarian score for this book, here's the blogger's score for this book, here's the reader's score for this book, or here's like the student score. Maybe you can tag that you're a student.
Yeah,
um,
that'd be great actually. I mean, let's think of some flares. I mean, we've already like got like five or six just then. And yeah, I mean, if that's as easy to implement, it's basically adding more options for flares, and I think that's really cool. We could
yeah,
tie it with ratings, and it would be like really interesting to see. And
yeah.
yeah, it would give. It would be interesting to see what librarians are on the platform, what students are on the platform, what book bloggers are on the platform. Yeah, that's gonna be like really really neat. Okay.
well,
Yeah.
well, this was a fun talk. I have some additional ideas for book data now that I'm going to try to uh, write up some notes on because yeah, that's going to be our next big one that I'm working on. So yeah, this was good brainstorming. Thank you.
Yeah, this was really good. Yeah, it's been a really fun talk, and I'm really liking how this direction for book data and for recommendations and for like what else we can do shapes up. I think gonna be a lot of opportunities with the things that are popping up everywhere. It's really like exciting to like. Be able to use this and now that we almost have the Android app out, we'll be able to like actually show these updates and make them more visible to readers, which is definitely really cool. Yeah,
Very exciting.
great. Well,
Cool.
until next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to you next week. Have a
Okay,
good
have
one.
a good one. Bye
See ya.
everybody.